RARE was created to help conservationists win the hearts and minds of those whose lives depend on nature. This approach really took hold when a charismatic conservationist named Paul Butler pioneered a new approach to save the Caribbean St. Lucian parrot from extinction. He turned to proven marketing tactics to instill a sense of pride in the people of St. Lucia and link it to their environment. The result was the recovery of the parrot population and a lasting environmental ethic among St. Lucian people. That initial work became known as a Pride campaign, and RARE has replicated this approach throughout the world. RARE's mission is to inspire change so people and nature thrive. Through our signature Pride campaigns, RARE equips local people with the tools and motivation to address pressing environmental challenges. Take the global overfishing crisis, for example. 1 billion people depend on fish for protein, and overfishing jeopardizes food supplies and damages fragile ecosystems. RARE is inspiring fishing communities throughout Asia, Africa, and Latin America to sustainably feed hundreds of millions of people, while improving livelihoods, protecting millions of hectares of coastal habitat, and making these communities less vulnerable to climate change. RARE is effective because we leverage impact in 3 distinct ways. First, we identify what's already working so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Second, we take those bright spots and we train local leaders to replicate them en masse to inspire widespread change. Finally, we partner with hundreds of organizations all over the world who adopt and adapt these approaches to meet local needs. This way, the solutions stick. This is how our small staff achieves results for people and for nature in more than 50 countries. Good ideas abound. Motivating people to adopt them is rare. What makes us effective is our ability to find sustainable solutions and then appeal to the hearts and minds of local people to adopt and adapt them. New ways of fishing, better farming practices, innovative agreements to protect the sources of fresh water. Our secret sauce is a mix of solid solutions and the inspiration to change behavior. If you don't keep score, you can't know when you're winning. At RARE, we measure everything. It's ingrained in our culture. Accountability is one of our organizational values. We know our work is succeeding when we can demonstrate that fish stocks in Indonesia's coastal villages are flourishing, when drinking water in Peru's cloud forests is cleaner, and when Chinese wetlands sustainably support local economies. We measure the degree to which people and nature are thriving, because only then do we know we're achieving our mission. People see RARE's work in the field and they think, well, that's cute. There are mascots and puppet shows and people dancing to campaign songs. But how does that change the behavior of fishermen? Or how does that convince a mayor to protect a watershed? What you might not see at first is there's a method behind the mascots. It's based on years of serious research on human behavior change. Behind every RARE campaign, there's a sophisticated theory of change, with focus group testing and statistically significant measures of success. This is serious work. But who says conservation can't be fun? With our partners, RARE has had incredible impact. Protecting the St. Lucian parrot from extinction, reducing tiger poaching in China, increasing fish stocks in Indonesia, the Philippines, and Latin America, boosting the adoption of fuel-efficient wood stoves in Mongolia, creating national parks throughout the Caribbean, training the first bilingual nature guides in Costa Rica to help spawn an ecotourism boom, and establishing water protection funds throughout Latin America. But perhaps our biggest accomplishment is that RARE is changing how conservation is delivered. By appealing to hearts and minds, we inspire change so that people and nature thrive. Our challenges are the same as those of all conservationists. Nature's not a top political priority. It's not a crisis until it's too late. Despite the value of an ounce of prevention, it's hard to marshal the resources needed to tackle these problems. Environmental degradation around the world far outstrips the resources of the conservation community. But in the face of all this, our own imaginations are really our biggest challenge. We have to think differently. We have to be willing to fail sometimes. But we also have to be inspired enough to make big bets. And we need politicians and funders willing to bet with us. RARE's model is inherently scalable, so the more resources we have, the more quickly we can advance our mission. Our funding is used to advance 3 strategic pillars: identifying promising solutions, developing and taking them to scale, and expanding the infrastructure needed to do both, period. So additional resources translate directly to more cloud forests and freshwater in South America, more coral reefs and sustainable fisheries in the Philippines, Indonesia, and Belize, and more local leaders inspiring change so people and nature thrive. As we look to the future, it's easy to see RARE filling a number of gaps. Finding ways for communities to prepare for and begin adapting to climate change, helping aid organizations prioritize care for the natural assets on which local economies and public health depend, and using what we've learned outside the United States to inspire change here at home.